Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. I spend a lot of time activating the reality I want to live and not spending time activating the reality I don't want to live. So, as my teachers would say, this is the most important thing that you'll ever hear, the most important thing that you've ever heard anybody say. And that is, look at your need to talk about issues that keep alive your complaint and enable you to justify your complaint instead of making you a vibrational match for what you want. My teachers would say, you could be a creative genius if you make an affirmation like this. My creative genius aligns with spirit. I allow the ease that is natural to be. I allow the ease that is natural to me. I activate the reality I want to live, and endless resources align with me. I escalate what works, and abundance flows. I experience immediate, swift, and joyful release. I make the best of wherever I am and whoever I'm with. My well-being is at an all-time high. Now, a lot of people are experiencing kind of depression because they can't accept the fact that inside themselves is a creative fire, a transformative fire. In yoga, it's called the Kundalini, the energy of consciousness. But because they can't handle the fire, they don't know how to channel it, they don't realize what's happening, they douse themselves, they put like asbestos all around themselves, and by hosing their entire environment, they get depressed. And when you're depressed, one part of you, in my opinion, is longing for the eyes of blessing, for someone who sees you and celebrates you. Inside us are drives bigger than we can stand. And this pressure comes from within relentlessly. It wants to discharge itself in creative play. And of course, if you don't do that, what happens is you become like a joyless being with no creative arousal. You have to recognize the voice of despair in you and heed what it's telling you. Which means you can't farm out your vision. No one else can do this for you. So I ask you, not what you believe, but where do you plug into the power of being? That'll tell you what's important to you, where you're putting your energy. So the idea is to develop yourself to the fullest. Yourself wants both wholeness and radiance, which is why I often talk about 4 archetypal energies that represent 4 ways of thinking, feeling, acting, and wondering. I call it the king or the queen, the part of you that is solid in your decision making in spite of what pleases others, or the pressure to comply, the social pressure to be a certain way that society conditions you. And then you have this inner warrior, an inner activist, a fighter that stands against toxicity in your way. It's effective against adversarial and aversive conditions. Really important to connect to that part. And then you have this cognitive part I call the magician, or the inner magus, or the crone, or the wizard, the wise one, the medial woman. They deal with transformative processes, how you make transitions when your world is torn apart. Well, there has to be a certain kind of psychological insight, like an inner alchemist that helps you get your bearings and provides the right information for you to make decisions. And then, of course, it all comes to the joy of the lover, the part of you that finds affiliation with your environment, intimacy with relationships, the value of the other, and eros, the relatedness to everything. So the whole idea about practicing yoga or any spiritual discipline is to get the energy and courage to stay with the adaptive processes and not divert yourself to sideshows. Don't get distracted by stuff that's not worthy. Don't be a slave to anything that doesn't take you to spirit. And then hopefully in your own life you can, with help, or if you're an autodidact by yourself, diagnose what's wrong, have a vision of what's possible, And then have the courage to address whatever that is by putting energy and fuel it with your own passion. And just accept the fact that if you're a human, you're going to hurt, but it's not the agony of the quest, it's the rapture of the revelation that keeps you going.